nobody but untying. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Sunday Night Empowerment. I'm so glad that you have chosen to join me this evening as we continue a powerful and intense and impactful conversation tonight. This is a ministry of the Emerge movement where we are empowering people on their journey to spiritual wholeness. You've just tuned into the most powerful place on the planet. This is an opportunity for you to receive guidance, insight, and revelation, understanding, teaching, insight that will help you to be able to live the best and highest version of yourself, for you to live your best life in this three-dimensional existence that we call Earth. I am so glad that you have decided to be with me and to join me in this conversation tonight. I can guarantee you and assure you that it's going to help you, empower you, strengthen you, and enlighten you. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do for me, every one of you that are on here right now, if you will just take about 15 to 30 seconds and just share this broadcast on your page. That will allow everyone who is following your page, and every one of us got some trolls. We got some people that follow our page who never say anything, but they'll at least see something that's going to be productive and helpful to them. Go ahead and share it on your page so that they'll be able to tune in and receive some light and understanding and revelation. And while you are sharing, if you should happen to think of someone that you think would really benefit from listening in to this conversation and being a part of what we're going to get into a discussion about this evening, go ahead and tag them in the comments. You can tag as many people as you like to tag. But you want to make sure that you alert them, because when you tag them, it sends them an alert and lets them know that we are here, directs them to the page and to the broadcast so that they can participate in this conversation. Now, listen, also, those of you who are watching me, those who are partners here and those who are faithful watchers, as well as some others of you who may be just brand new to the platform, but you are enjoying and you're liking what you're hearing, I want to give you the opportunity to make sure that you don't miss a conversation. Anytime that we're coming on to have these kind of uncomfortable and enlightening and impactful conversations, you want to be a part of it. And so on your screen right now, you will see scrolling at the bottom is that there is a message there that you can simply take advantage of this particular free service. All you have to do is text the word emerge to the number 833-444-0163. That is the word emerge to the number 833-444-0163. And you will immediately be signed up for free notifications. Absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime, but you will receive a notification for your text messages or on your phone, and you will be notified every single time that we're getting ready to come on the air. So that way you won't miss a conversation and you'll be able to get involved in everything that is taking place. So take a moment, if you will, and do that right now. If you haven't already, text the word emerge to 833-444-0163 so that you're able to receive the text alert. I'd like to also invite you and encourage you to take a moment and go and visit our website. The web address is www.aimministriesint.org, rather. aimministriesint.org. We have a great and fantastic website. We're constantly updating it and expanding it and adding new things to it, but it offers you information and insight to what the Emerge movement is all about. I'd really like for you to go and check it out. Go ahead and take a peek at it and see what you think of it. And if you think that Emerge is the kind of place and the kind of movement that you'd like to be involved with, we'd like to invite you to be a part partner with us. You see written in the description right above us here a little bit about the vision and the mission of Emerge and what partnership is about. All you have to do to become a partner with the Emerge movement is simply send me an email to the email address that you see on your screen right now, emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com, emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. When you send me that email, or you can send me an inbox, but make sure you include your email. All I need you to do is write 3 simple words. I want in. That's it. Just tell me, I want in. The moment you send me that email, I will send you out a packet that will give you full details and insight as to what Emerge is all about, what the movement is about, and what partnership involves. I would love to have you to consider being a part of this movement, having a place where that you can connect with other fellow spiritual believers who are growing and evolving and becoming without all of the trappings of being a part of a social construct, a religious construct of a particular brick and mortar building, without having to worry about a building fund, pastor's aid fund, this anniversary, that anniversary, and all these other kinds of things. You simply become a part of a spiritual community where you have access to insight, revelation, understanding, and teachings of principles, practices, and patterns that will positively affect and impact your life without all the other hoopla and with all the other kind of things that come along with that particular type of organization. And so I want to give you the opportunity to be a part of this movement, this family. Please take advantage of this opportunity that we have sitting in front of you right now by mailing your email to me, sending it to me right now at the email address that is on your screen. Again, make sure that you sign up for notifications by simply texting the word Emerge to 833-444-0163. Woo. And now that we've gotten all of the housekeeping things out of the way, let's get into this conversation this evening. I began a conversation this morning with the local body here in Fitzgerald, and many of you that are on now were on then, and some of you may not have been on this morning. But I want to kind of pick up where we left off, and I want to continue that conversation, and I will go over some of the things that we talked about already. So as to enlighten and make sure everybody's on the same page and everybody's up to speed. I want you to recognize also that while we're having this conversation, that you are welcome to ask questions in the comments. I am not bothered by you asking me questions. I don't mind stopping in the midst of whatever it is that we're talking about and answering the question, because the goal here is for you to get an understanding, and all that getting to get an understanding. So that's the goal. I don't want you to just get hyped or hooped or anything else along those lines. I want to give you pertinent and practical information that you can apply to your life and that you can use to transition your thinking and be transformed in your being and begin to experience the abundance of life that you were designed to experience here in the earth realm. So I want you to get the information and get an understanding of it. So please feel free to ask me any questions that you can, or that you have rather, and I will be more than happy to address them, as many of them as I possibly can during the course of the teaching. But I want you to be able to really grasp the information. So this morning's conversation was really powerful and impactful. This morning also was thought-provoking, and I had a number of people to text me or others to inbox me and began to ask me some certain questions about it. I'm going to address some of those questions live on the air, even though I've already written them back answers. I think that there are probably questions that some of you may have as well, and so I will address them along with the rest of the things that we will be discussing this evening. But I want to make sure that we get a clear understanding of what we're talking about now. With our particular movement, we have been laser focused on a particular topic of rediscovering your identity. And really, this conversation does not deviate away from that. So I'm going to just fold it into the conversation that we have already been having. The rediscovering our identity, our true identity, who we are as spirit beings that are consciously aware of themselves as being human. And in that conversation, we had gotten to the point where we were talking about the 4 governing laws of divinity, and we were looking at the very first law. And I think it's very apropos that the first law also is very well tied to the conversation that we were having this morning, that if I should live before I die. So tonight I'm going to use that as a topic again, that if the topic for tonight is going to be, if I should live before I die. If I should live if I should die before I live, rather. If I should die before I live. If I should die before I live. And the particular topic of this conversation came from an experience with one of my youngest, well, my kid, he's not a younger kid anymore, he's a grown man, but when he was a little boy, and I was teaching him the little prayer, that all of us learned to pray when we were coming up as kids. Now I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take. But he would always seem to fold into that particular prayer. Instead of saying, if I die before I wake, he would say, if I die before I live. And I was like, no, that's not what it says. It's if I die before I wake, but if I die before I live. And at the moment that he kept saying it, then eventually it triggered something within my mind, and it began to cause me to recognize that is something that has plagued humanity for a long time, is that most of us end up transitioning, many of us, I'll say then, end up transitioning out of this three-dimensional existence, and we die having never really lived. Well, I don't mean that we didn't exist, that we weren't here meandering and navigating through this three-dimensional existence. I don't mean that we weren't here sucking up God's air, and that we weren't visible, tangible, touchable, seeable, and having lived experiences as we were here. But I'm saying that we lived a very shortened and very brief and very boxed in and very limited life, because we never really lived. We never really had the fullness of the experience of living and experiencing life to its fullest, because we were so busy trying to fit within parameters and boxes and cages and ideologies that were given to us by people to define who we are, and to give us a definition of life and give us an identity of life that did not really belong to us, but it was the identity that they had assumed that had been given to them, and then they in turn turned around and gave it to us and imposed upon us a set of values and beliefs and ideas that we just assented to and eventually agreed to. And before you know it, we were living within a mental, emotional, and even almost physical prison that wouldn't allow us to really fully experience life. Here is what the scripture says, that's in St. John chapter 10, that the thief has come but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. The thief is not some devil or demon or spirit or imp, but he says that thief, this very real existing thief, this thing that has the ability to rob you, God, he says that this thing has come to steal, kill, and to destroy. But I am, that is the all-sufficient, all of everything, God, am come that you would have the possibility to experience life, and that you could experience it to its fullest, or that you would have it more abundantly. That is, that the soul's purpose in coming into this three-dimensional existence, for taking on the form that you presently exist in now, the soul's number one purpose is to experience life to its fullest. Let me say it again, that the soul's highest and number one purpose in coming into the existence and living in this three-dimensional form that you call a body, this soul's purpose, its sole purpose of the soul, pun intended, the sole purpose of the soul is to experience life to its fullest. To experience all of the nuances and twists and turns and all of the things that are involved in experiencing what it means to be alive and to be consciously aware of itself as living. And understand, ladies and gentlemen, that life is not about stuff and things. It's not about experiencing stuff or things or money. Most people, when you talk about abundant life, that's the first thing that they run to. They think about stuff, things, money, and cars and houses and lands. finance. They think about acquiring material goods. But we looked at it, we talked about this morning that the text says, there's a text that says that what good does it do for a man to profit, what profit is it rather for a man to gain the whole world, that is to acquire all of these material things and then still end up losing their sense of self, losing themselves, their true identity, their true sense of being, because it is lost inside of all of the shuffle and buffle of the stuff that they have acquired. They've acquired all of these things, but they're still not happy. They still don't have peace. You still don't have that fullness that you desire to feel. You still feel that sense of like something is missing, that there's a void here, that there's something that's not quite there. And you keep thinking that if I acquire more stuff and I acquire more things, then somehow the void is going to be filled, that I'm going to really experience great and abundant life if I get more money, if I get a husband, if I get a wife, if I get kids, if I get another house or another car, if I get more land and more stuff that I acquire, if I can acquire fame or fortune or notoriety or infamy, if I can become known for something, if people know my name, then I'm going to feel fulfilled. But none of those things will bring you true fulfillment, because they are not really what life is about. Life is about the experience. Let me say that again. Life is about the experience. Life in and of itself, by itself, has no meaning, but life only has the meaning that you give to it. What you become and what you experience, that gives definition to your life, and your soul is longing. Listen to me. Your soul, your being, your consciousness, your feelings, emotions, your suke, your nephesh is longing to experience every piece and every part and every aspect of what it means to live, to really experience the fullness of life. The scripture teaches that a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things that he possesses. Let me say that again, that a man's life, that is mankind's life, any person's life, consisteth not. That means that life is not made up of the abundance of things that he possesses, that life does not equate to stuff, and stuff does not equate to life. Please understand me that if you spend the majority of your time, your energy, your creativity, your power, your ability chasing behind the acquisition of things, you will find that once you have fully acquired them, and you will acquire them, if you follow certain principles and practices, acquiring things is no problem. You will acquire them, you will manifest them, you will create them, you will have them, you will possess them, but you will find that at the end of acquiring these things, you are still feeling empty, feeling like you are lacking, feeling like there's a void. You will still feel as though something is absolutely missing, because you have spent so much time trying to acquire things that you have forgotten how to live. And if you die before you live, what a sad state it is to be in. That you've spent your entire life trying to acquire acceptance, acquire love, are you hearing what I'm saying? So you're trying to acquire things that you already have. You're trying to acquire things that are already at your disposal. What you really want to experience is what you really want to have, rather, is the experience, to experience everything, because it is the soul's desire to live without fetter, without chain, without boundaries, most importantly, without limitation. Let me try and see if I can find that very quickly. The soul, the one thing that the soul resists more than anything else is limitation. And let me explain what I mean. How we got to this point. And I talked about this a little bit earlier today when we were having the conversation, but I want to kind of walk through it very quickly again. You see, ladies and gentlemen, all of us came into this three-dimensional world from a pre-incarnate state, as we've already learned, that we all existed within the mind of God in eternity past before the foundations of the world. That there we were co-creating along with God this existence that we call earth, this three-dimensional existence that we call earth and time and space. And we then leave the mind of God, and we agreed with God to enter into this iteration of life, to experience this life in this form that is called mankind. We came into this three-dimensional form with the highest purpose being to fully experience what it means to be completely consciously aware of ourselves as being human, to experience life to the fullest. Up until that point, we were existing as a thought, the logos, an idea, concept of vision, an image in the mind of God. Then God says, let there be, and breathe one breath, and out of breathing from that breath, man becomes consciously aware, a living nephesh, consciously aware of itself as a living soul, a nephesh, a suke, a psyche, a consciousness. And so now spirit, that which is spirit, born of spirit, now has a conscious awareness of itself as being human. And the soul is excited and joyful at the opportunity to come into this three-dimensional experience that's called humanity, and began to experience it to its fullest, to explore, to expand, to have the fullness of the experience of what it's like to be human. But at the moment of conception, the moment that we enter into the mother's womb, the moment that we are conceived, our soul is exposed now to the environment, the culture, the family, and everything that is surrounding us. Even while we are in utero, in the mother's womb, our soul, which is not limited by time or space or any of those kinds of things, so it's not limited by the biological location of the baby being inside of the womb. But our soul now becomes subject to the environment around it. It begins to receive information and messages. And like a writer writes a book, and like a novelist pens its favorite story, people began to write upon the suke, the psyche, or the mind, or the consciousness of the soul, even while in utero. Whether mom is happy or sad, or angry or upset, or frustrated or overwhelmed, whether mom is joyful and excited and anticipatory, you can sense it as the soul that is awaiting within the womb of the woman, waiting for the form that it has taken to be born into the earth. It can sense the surroundings, its surroundings. It can sense what's happening in the atmosphere, in the environment, and coming that energy that's being vibrated from the mother. Not only from the mother, but from the father, whether the father is present and exciting and anticipatory, or the father is absent and angry and rejecting or abandoning. Whether the children that are the other siblings that are there are excited about this child coming or not. Whether you are in a place where you are frustrated and angry and fearful or doubtful, or whether you are excited and joyful and anticipating. The soul then begins to receive all of these signals and messages that are contradictory to what it came here knowing, because when the soul is formed within that body, when it is conceived within the form, it leaves immediately from the spirit realm, coming here fully knowing you came here, you and I entered into this three-dimensional existence, fully knowing everything, fully aware of all that God knows, because we were the omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent spirit, omniactive, now in human form. But now we began to receive a set of signals and information that are contradictory to what we know, that began to formulate an ideology or belief. And so there you are now, even in your mother's womb, receiving these signals. And then at the time of your birth, coming into this three-dimensional world, coming into this world, coming into this atmosphere, beginning to breathe in its fragrance. You also breathe in all of the words and thoughts and deeds and behaviors and ideas and structure that you are born into from the environment, the culture, the family, the race, the religion, all of those things. Now you don't have the opportunity to decide for yourself. You don't have the opportunity to choose what it is that you're going to believe, to choose what it is that what is going to be your truth. You are given a set of beliefs, a set of values, a set of ideas, and you are told this is who you are. Hold on one second. I see a question here. What do people say? Okay. The question is, why do people feel that? Why do people feel or say that a person is having a middle age crisis all because they want to be free from the old things and welcome new things? Yvette, that's a really good question. And honestly, I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can give you my perspective on that particular thing. I can't say definitively because everyone has different reasons for why they think and why they behave a certain way. But in most cases, people are afraid of anything that is different. And so they become accustomed to you acting, thinking, and behaving and responding a certain way. And when you begin to change how you think and it does not comport with how they have thought and they have known you to think all of your life, they become accustomed to a way that you behave, respond, and now you are thinking, behaving, and responding in a way that does not comport with what they have always known and is antithetical to how they think. Then it causes them some consternation because they are fearful of anything that is different. And that is why they begin to label it. Whenever people are afraid of a thing, they label it. They label it crazy. They label it insane. They label it cockamamie. They label it the devil. They label it cultish. They label it a whole lot of different things. And it's really birthed out of their own fear. That's really what that's about. I hope that helps you out. So understand that the soul is resisting against limitation because the soul came here with the desire to experience life to its absolute fullest. But now the moment that it makes its entry into this three-dimensional world, the moment that it makes its entry into the form is the moment that we begin to load it down. It becomes loaded and coated with all types of limitations that are given to it. You don't know. You don't get to decide. You don't get to just be. You don't get to just experience. No, now you have people around you, and please understand me that this is not nefarious. They're not out to hurt you. They're not being malicious, but everyone would think that they are trying to help you, trying to assist you, trying to guide you and give the things that you need in order to be able to navigate this three-dimensional world. But in doing so, they set up parameters around you that lock you into a particular way of thinking. And so they begin to offer you information based upon the culture and says, well, we're black people, so we behave like this. Are you born into the Johnson family and the Robinson family or the Gainey family, and we behave like this, and this is what our lineage is, our heritage, our tradition. Are you born into a Baptist family or a Methodist family or a Christian family or a Muslim family or a Hindu family? And so these are the traditions of the religious practices that we keep. And with each one of these layers of information that they are giving you, it stands antithetical completely to all that you know. And they begin to set up gates and walls around your soul and say you have to think and behave and enjoy and admire and reject and hate these things because that is the way that you're supposed to behave, think, and feel because you're born into this particular situation, circumstance, family, or relationship. It began to box you in. And because faith comes by hearing, ladies and gentlemen, because what we continuously hear, we begin to assent to, we eventually embrace as our truth, even if it's based upon an illusion, then that faith has no other choice but to then be the power or the substance of the thing that you have come to expect, and begin to provide you with evidence that the thing you're expecting actually exists. And so you find yourself having these limited experiences, living inside of this box, living inside of this parameter that you have been given by parents, by friends, by culture, by religion, by relationships, by trauma, by experiences that are misinterpreted or misguided, that are misexplained. And you are told that this is what you think, this is how you feel, this is your name, this is your country, this is where you come from, this is how you behave, these are the rules that we live by, these are the societal rules that are acceptable, this is what's not acceptable, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is up, this is down, this is what's righteous, this is what's unrighteous, this is what's good, pure and holy, and this is what's not. And you simply conform. Oh, God. And in conforming, the soul in its resistance now is pushed into a corner, backed away, pushed into a place where it now has to begin to reconfigure itself and conform. And this is what the scripture means when it says, be not conformed to this world, that we are in the world, but we are not of this world. That don't be conformed. Don't allow this world system around you. Don't allow the outside influences to determine who you are and tell you who you are and determine your identity and determine your response and determine your experience as being. And that's what the soul longs. But now it is being forced into conformity because of the rules, regulations, laws, dogma, legalisms that have been forced upon it without its asking, without its request, without even explanation, simply saying, because you're a Miles, this is the way you're supposed to think. Because you're black, this is the way you're supposed to respond. Because you're American, this is the way you're supposed to be. And because you practice Christianity, this is what you're supposed to believe. You weren't asked if you were a Christian. You weren't asked if you really wanted to be. You didn't even ask if you wanted to be exposed to any of that. You didn't ask to be Christian or Muslim or Jew or Hindu or Buddhist. You didn't ask for any of this. It was just hoisted upon you, and you were told you have to conform. Because if you don't conform, then you're ostracized, you're pushed to the side, you are excluded from the club, and you are labeled as strange and crazy and demonic, and something is wrong with you, something's off with you, and you're rebellious. But understand, ladies and gentlemen, the entire time your soul is constantly pushing up against your conscious mind, longing and desiring and rebelling against the cage that it has been confined to, because it wants to experience that fullness of life. It wants to experience all that life has to offer. It wants to have every experience. It wants to have all of the experiences. It wants to drink in, absorb as much as it possibly can in the limited period of time that it has within this three-dimensional form before it has to transition out of this. It wants to fully experience everything that life is. But the only one that can free the soul to have its full experience is you. Be not conformed to this world, to this world of thinking, this world's way of thinking, society's way of thinking, religion's way of thinking, culture's way of thinking, family's way of thinking, environment's way of thinking, trauma's way of thinking. No, but be transformed. If you want to experience real transformation, then you have to allow anakinosis, that is your mind, to be affected by the Spirit of God. That is allowing the light of the glorious Spirit, the knowledge of truth that is already loaded and coded within your spirit, to pierce the darkness of your conscious awareness and cause you to begin to see that there is nothing that is wrong or right except for that which is wrong or right for you. Does it serve you? Does it fit your life? Does it give you? Does it feed your soul? Does it serve you? Does it help you to fulfill the purpose of your being, the purpose of your life? Does it bring you happiness or joy? Does it serve you? To empty your mind from the rules and regulations and the toxicity that comes from different cultures and environments and religions that began to impose their will, their desires, their doctrine, their dogma, their legalism upon you, that God never imposed upon you, and God is not the author of, and you never really volunteered for, but you were beaten into submission to say yes to something that your soul was screaming no to. You mentally, mindfully, cognitively assented and subjected and submitted yourself to something that deep within your soul you could feel it, you could sense it, you can almost hear it, it's palpable, you can almost taste it. Your soul screaming, no, let me be free, let me experience, let me live before we die. Let me fully experience all that I desire. I asked this question this morning in the earlier conversation that I'm going to ask again this evening, and I want you to think about, and you can answer in the comments if you want to, or you don't have to answer at all. You can just think about it and answer it to yourself. But how would you live if there were no rules? What if there was no Bible, no Quran, no Bhagavad Gita, no Book of Town, none of these others? No. What if there was no rule books, no religion, no one there to tell you that this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, this is holy, this isn't? How would you live? Who would you be? Without all of the societal rules that said you can do this, but you can't do that, you can do this, you can do that, this is acceptable, but that's not acceptable, this is good, but no, we're not going to have that right there. How would you live? What would you be? What would you do? What would you experience if there were no limits? If there were no limitations? And again, I've said this earlier, but I need to make sure I repeat it tonight. I am not advocating anarchy. I'm not advocating chaos. And I'm not even worried about either one of those things manifesting, because each one of us have the spirit of the living God within us. That spirit is our very being. We reflect, we are the divine image and the likeness of God in three-dimensional form. And so we are a law unto ourselves. Let me say it again, that each one of us are a law unto ourselves. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, that law is, there is not uniformity in that law. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, what serves me may not serve you, and what serves you may not serve me. But each of us have a steady guidance within us, that is the spirit that lives within us, that is the source of all things, that guides us, leads us into all truth, leads us into those things that serve us, leads us into those things that are for our betterment, that fits our purpose, that helps us to have the full lived experience that the soul desires. It is already within us. We don't need these outer rules and regulations and formalities. That's what's needed in order to set up government, to set up society, but they are not put in place to govern you. You can live your life in true liberty and freedom, because that is how you were designed. Let me say it again. You can live your life in true freedom because that is how you were designed. You are designed as the offspring of God. Acts chapter 17, in God you live and move and have your being. As certain of your poets have said, you are God's offspring. You are the offspring of God. You have came here loaded and coded within your DNA all that God is, and so everything that God is, you are, and all that you are, God is. That is your essence. That is your core. That is your center. That is your being. Who can place rules on God? Who's going to grab God in the collar and tell it what it can and cannot do? God is sovereign, and he has created you in its image and its likeness as a sovereign being with the capacity, that is the choice, the option, the possibility to experience the limitless, timeless, boundless, endless potential that this world has to offer you. But you have to be able to give yourself the permission to actually live before you die. How would you live? How would you live? What would you do? How would you carry yourself? What would be your demeanor, your character? What would you try? What is it that you've been desiring to do? And if the desire has arisen within you, ladies and gentlemen, you've been living in denial because you've been taught by the rules that you're not supposed to feel that way, think that way. You're not supposed to have those kind of desires. You're not supposed to have those kind of wants. You're not supposed to have those kind of urges or unctions within you. And so you deny yourself and say, silly stuff like, oh no, that's not me. I don't know where that came from. It came from you. Or you begin to say, oh, that's the devil trying to play with my mind, the devil trying to get me to do that. Some mythological being from entity from the outside is now working inside of your mind and producing feelings. I want you to think about what you just said, that some mythological entity, even if it was a real entity, now has the ability to enter into your psyche and to create feelings, emotions, desires within you that are not your own. Oh my goodness, are you hearing what I'm saying? Even your Bible tells you that let no man say when he is tempted. That doesn't mean when you are having a temptation, it means that you have a desire for something. The scripture says, let no man say that when he is tempted, that he is tempted of God, but he also means that he's not, you notice he does not mention a devil there, but he says, let no man say when he is tempted that he is tempted of God, because God tempts no man with evil, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own desires, its own lust, its own yearnings. He says that's the thing that equates to temptation. And temptation, as I've taught this before in the local body here, temptation is actually made up, that word temptation is made up of two parts that are necessary for temptation to exist. That in order for temptation to actually be temptation, there must be a desire and there must be an opportunity. If desire and opportunity are not both present, then it's really not temptation. Let me give you a quick example, and I've given this example before, that I like Halle Berry. Halle Berry, I think, is one of the most gorgeous, beautiful women on the planet. I think she's just absolutely stunning. Even at her age right now, when I look at Halle Berry, I just see the epitome of what beauty and sexiness and attraction is. I just think Halle Berry is just, she does it for me, along with Nia Long and a few others. Let me just stop. Oh, Lord, let me come back. Hallelujah, glory. Thank you. Hey, Shanda. Okay. But understand me, ladies and gentlemen, while there is a desire for Halle Berry, there is no opportunity. I don't know Halle. Halle don't know me. We'll probably never meet each other. So there is no temptation there because I have the desire, but I do not have an opportunity. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Likewise, on the flip side of that, for many years, I've traveled as a preacher and minister and going different places as a single preacher. And it never failed that I would have some old mother would come up and say, I want you to meet my daughter. And after I got through looking at her with one eye going this way and the other one going that way, and her hair looking all crazy, and she got only 3 teeth in her mouth and weighing about 978 pounds, there was indeed an opportunity, but there was absolute desire. So that's not a temptation either. But temptation comes together when there is a desire and opportunity. When a desire and opportunity meet, it creates a desire. It creates a temptation. And the scripture says that no man is tempted. No man is tempted except he is drawn away of his own desire, of his own lust, of his own yearnings. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? That all of us have these desires and and yearnings and earnings and all of these things that are happening, these feelings, these unctions, these longings within us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, when you deny them, what you are doing is you are saying to the soul, no. Why are you telling the soul no, that it cannot have these experiences, that it cannot have this particular experience, this fullness of life? Why it cannot live out this experience? Why? In 99.99% of the times, it's because of what you have been told, what you have been taught, what you have been given as a belief that is totally antithetical to the true nature of your being. If you did not have a desire, if you weren't curious, if there wasn't something within you that wanted to have the experience, that wanted to create the opportunity so that you can have the experience, then you wouldn't have the desire in the first place. And I'm telling you that when you deny it, when you say to that desire, you are working against the actual nature of the soul, because the nature of the soul, the soul's nature is to be limitless, boundless, to experience life to its fullest. And in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, he says to us to prove all things. This is the text. This is from your Bible. I know you're not used to reading this, but it says it. Prove it. Try is what the word prove there means. It means to try, to test, to allow, to give yourself the opportunity to try everything, and the things that serve you, do it again. And if it doesn't, then you go ahead and put that in file 13 and you keep it moving. But you cannot say that it's good or bad, or that it serves you or not, if you are too afraid to even try the thing that you desire. You keep telling yourself no, no, I'm not going to try this, I'm not going to do this. That is tantamount to a child saying to a parent, I don't like broccoli, and they've never had broccoli before in their entire life. And you as a parent, what's the first thing that you're going to say to them? How do you know you don't like it? You've never tried it. Woo! How do you know what you are like? How do you know what you're capable of? How do you know what you can accomplish? How do you know how far you could go? How do you know what you would be if you are too afraid to even get past point try? If you're even afraid to even allow yourself to feel the feeling, yet alone acting upon it or experiencing it. No, you're afraid to even get past feeling the feeling. You immediately feel like you have to suppress it and push it down and cast it away and get rid of this. And oh no, okay, well, you can do all of that, but at the end of the day, if it is something that the soul desires, guess what? It's going to arise again. You can fast, you can pray, you can hanama shanama kitana da boho shoto to tamabo Kawasaki and all the rest of that good thing. But when you get through with all of that and you spit up in buckets and rolled on the floor and have people pour oil down your throat and put the Bible on your chest and plead the blood, when it's over, the soul's desire returns, because it's here to experience life to the fullest. But wait a minute, Apostle, what are you advocating? What are you talking about, man? What are you saying? You are talking about, it's like you're saying that we can do whatever we want. You can. That's right. I said it. You can. All things are lawful. Not all things are expedient, but all things are lawful. Well, how do I know what's expedient if I haven't tried it? If I haven't experienced it, if I haven't tasted it, y'all not hearing what I'm saying, if I have not handled it, if I have not had the opportunity to at least begin to know whether it's something that I truly desire or not, all things are lawful. I am free to experience whatever I choose. And so are you. I know I'm making some Christian folk real nervous right about now, because the moment you gave your life to Jesus Christ, everybody in the world told you that means you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And they gave you a whole list of the don'ts and a whole list of the rules, and it filled you up with indoctrination and legalism. But ladies and gentlemen, what about sin? Well, what about sin? What about it? If you believe in the death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, then you also believe that your sins have already been forgiven, that you were justified before the foundations of the world, and that he took all of the rules and regulations that were against you, according to Colossians chapter 2, and nailed them to the cross. That means that if there were any punishment for the error, any punishment for the missing of the mark, any punishment for the sin, that punishment has already been taken care of, already been paid for, already been handled by the grace of God, by the work of Christ when he died on the cross. So that leaves you free to have the experience so that you can discern and you can learn and you can prove what really serves you and hold fast to that which is good. I know I got some Christian folk real mad at me right now, some Bible thumpers, but I guarantee you I'm absolutely right about it, and you can't prove me wrong. Okay? And so you limit yourself. The soul is resisting the limitations that have been placed upon it by culture, by environment, by legalism, by dogma, by family, by religion. It is resisting constantly. And so these desires, these urges, these unctionings come up inside of you, wanting to experience itself. And because you are a creative being, ladies and gentlemen, and we talked about this morning, and I'm going to reiterate and go a little deeper tonight, that because you are a creative being, because you are divinity expressed in three-dimensional form, God is Elohim, so you are Elohim. You are in a constant state of creation all the time. You are constantly creating. You are creating in this moment, the next moment. You are creating in the moment, the next moment that you will have. You are creating always and curating what your life experience, your three-dimensional life experience on this earth is going to be. The soul is constantly, through the power of the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God within you, the divine spirit that you are, it is constantly creating its next moment, its next experience. And how does creation take place? I'm going to tell you, watch this now, ride with me. I know you've been listening to this already and you probably remember this, but I want you to see how it ties together. How does creation take place? It begins with a thought, that is the logos, the idea, the imagination, the image within the mind. It becomes a word. It informs what we say and what we speak. It's the let there be. And then there is the action that corresponds with the thought and the word. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That's how we began to create. But it begins with the thought. It begins with the idea. The idea is either birthed from an intuition, a feeling, an inkling, an unctioning, a desire that it emanates from the soul, or it can it be something that emanates from your mind, from your consciousness, your cognition. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Those things that emanate from the spirit, from the soul, to create an idea, a concept, of vision, a logos within the mind. Now, in order to bring that thing to creation as God did in the beginning, was a thought, an idea, word. The word was with God. The word was God. We've got that already. In order to bring that into manifestation, we have to first take the breath. That means that we speak it. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. That our words are spirit and life. And so when we speak it and begin to declare it, then we are giving life to the thought that is within our mind. But the thought itself is a mental unit of energy that is vibrating and sending at a frequency that begins to gather the particles and elements that are necessary to create the possibility for you to have the experience that you have desired, thought, imagined, or envisioned. That's why when God began to speak, it was able to say, let there be, because creation had already taken place. So he uses the terminology let, as in saying to all of those things that are outside of him, allow what I am saying to come forth. Not let there be as in creating it, but let as in allow it to be, allow it to come into manifestation. And so because I have created the experience within my mind, I've created the image, the vision, the idea, now I get to the point where I began to breathe it. I began to speak it and say, let there be. And I speak words that are in correspondence with what I think. And then I act in accordance with how I am speaking and what I'm thinking. And if I follow that particular process, I bring about manifestation. But if there is a cognitive dissonance, if there is a breakdown in the process where I have a particular idea, a vision, a logos, a cognition within my mind, an image that is there, but then because it does not fit the narrative that has been imposed upon me by my culture, my environment, my friends, my family, my religion, I then with my mouth will begin to speak contradictory to what is I'm experiencing in my mind. And so my mind, my feelings, my desires are saying one thing and creating an image within my mind that my mouth is steady saying absolutely not, no, we're not doing that. That's not of God. Oh no, that's unholy. That's not right. That's not good. That's not acceptable. That's not societally acceptable. That's not accepted in my religion. That's not accepted in my family. I can't do that. Oh no, And so you start talking yourself out of an experience that your mind, your soul is trying to create for you. But understand this, ladies and gentlemen, you still had the thought, the idea, the cognition, the image. You had the vision there, which again is a mental unit of energy that is vibrating at a frequency that gathers the elements and the particles that are necessary to create the possibility for you to have the experience. So even though you have spoken from your mouth to contradict what is in your mind, the energy has already been released and cannot be destroyed. And so now it creates the possibility for you to experience the thing that you've imagined, and you are saying from your mouth, even as you meet the possibility, absolutely not. And that's when you start saying the devil's trying to tempt me, when in fact you are creating the possibility for you to experience what you desire, but because you are afraid to step outside of that self-imposed box that you have limited yourself to, you say to the experience that you have created, the possibility, the resource, the thing that you created for yourself, absolutely not, thinking that if I deny it enough, it'll just go away, and it will for a moment, but because the energy is still radiating from your thoughts, it creates the possibility again and again and again. And so you find yourself in a constant state, a loop of sort throughout the entirety of your existence, and saying, well, this has been my struggle all my life. I've been struggling with this. Well, stop struggling. Oh, Lord have mercy. I know I'm talking fast, but I'm also talking good. Stop struggling. That's the point. The soul is trying to get you to finally just assent and say, yes, yes. Let us have this experience. Let us go and explore this part of life. Let us explore the fullness thereof. And if it does not serve me, then I can now consciously say, this is no longer something that I desire. This is no longer something that I want. This is no longer something that I have a yearning or an unction for. But let us at least begin to experience it. I don't know if any of you are as old as I am, but I grew up during the time when they didn't want us to go to the movies. They didn't want us to go to football games. We couldn't wear neckties and jewelry in holiness. We don't do that over here in holiness. You don't go to the beach and be out there with your shirt off. No, if you're going to the beach, you have to have on them long shorts and a shirt if you were a man. And if you were a woman, you had to wear a dress to the freaking beach. What kind of crazy, outlandish, idiotic, stupid, asinine thing is that? You out there sweating and carrying on in 90-degree heat in the middle of July at the beach. and you just as hot because you got that long dress on, them long sleeves down to your knuckle, and a little dolly on your head at the beach. The madness of it all. The madness. And you looking around and you seeing everybody else frolicking and having so much fun. And there's a desire within you because you really want to experience it too. You want to have fun too. You want to play in the water. You want to be able to wear a bathing suit. You want to be able, but everything that you have been told tells you, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Or you can't go to this movie, or you can't watch this kind of thing on TV, or you can't wear this kind of thing, because if you wear that, well, then you're a Jezebel and you the devil and you this, that, and the other, and you can't love these people, and you can't be around these people, and you can't be touch these people, and you can't have anything to do with that person, and you can't be this kind of, and you can't think this way, and you can't feel this way, and you can, and you can, and you can, and you can, and you can't, because religion is designed to manipulate and to control you. But God says that where my spirit is, oh my goodness, where the Spirit of God is, there is absolute liberty and freedom. There is no bondage, no parameters, no limitations that are placed on it, because who can tell God what to do? Who can box God in? God says, no, I've given you liberty, and I've given you the opportunity. Matter of fact, came that you might have the opportunity to experience life and to experience it to the fullest. Yes, taking sand to the beach. I see you, Yvette. Yes. Are you hearing what I'm trying to tell you? As a sentient divine being in this three-dimensional form, you have absolute liberty in God. I get so tickled when I hear different Christian folk talking about, I'm free in the Lord, I'm free. Oh, but I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. So I can't go there, and I can't go there, and I can't go there, and I can't be this, and I can't be that, and I can't be this, and I can't be that either. And I can't do this because, we don't do that over here in holiness. And have redefined the holiness, a term that describes my state of being, and made it a set of rules, regulations, and a quote unquote lifestyle. Holiness is a lifestyle. Poppycock. Holiness is not a lifestyle. Holy is who you are. You were born holy. You were created holy. You came here holy and right and pure and righteous and good. You are deserving. You are not a wretch undone. You are not a poor, pitiful pauper. You are not a poor pilgrim. You are not a worm. You are not a filthy. You're not sinner saved by grace. You are the righteousness of God. You are the divinity of God. You are the offspring of God. You are the light of God manifested in three-dimensional form, and you are worthy and you are deserving of everything that you desire. Let me say it again. You are worthy and you are deserving of everything that you desire. I'm going to say it one more time. You are worthy of every single thing that you desire. You are worthy and you are deserving. You deserve every blessing that comes your way. You deserve every breakthrough. You deserve every miracle. You deserve every manifestation. You deserve good. You deserve grace. You deserve right. You deserve happiness. You deserve peace. You are deserving. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You are deserving. That feeling of undeservedness is what has placed limitations on your soul and has kept you from experiencing life to its fullest, because you keep saying, I don't deserve something. And because you generate that energy from your thoughts and from your being, the universe has no choice but to obey what you say. And so it then says, okay, you are undeserving, then I will give you more of the same. Remember that the universe is like a giant copying machine, that whatever you put into it, it just replicates it, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And if you keep putting want and lack and undeserving and filthy and sinful and all of that into the atmosphere, into the universe, into the world around you, if you keep speaking that kind of death over your life, then you are creating an experience that mirrors what it is that you keep speaking, and your outer world of form and experience will reflect your inner world of thought and feeling. What you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, is reflected in your surroundings. Oh, goodness. And if you don't really like what you're seeing in your surroundings, then you need to take a deep dive inward and look at the toxicity of your own thoughts that have entrapped you within a man-made cage that you don't have to live in. You are a free spirit. You are divinity that has liberty, limitless, boundless, infinite possibility and capacity to experience life to its fullest. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so you get the opportunity, by the power invested in you, by the power of the spirit that you are, to create your own experiences, to create opportunities for the soul to experience all of the things that it desires to experience within the earth, if you will simply say yes to it. Stop being afraid. Fear, Lord have mercy. Fear is the biggest limiting force of the soul. Let me say it again. Fear is the biggest limiting force of the soul. I'll repeat that one more time. Fear is the biggest limiting force of the soul. Fear is the thing that causes you to withstand, to refrain, to pull back, to draw back, to keep yourself from ever experiencing the fullness of the possibilities that are brought before you every single day. I know this is really scary for some of you. This is really scary because, and some of you may be tuning me out, and some of you may be ready to say, okay, you know what? I've had about enough of this guy because, I can't deal with it. But think about what you are saying right at this moment. Just consider for a moment that you are ready to embrace fully any person that forces limitations on you, that tells you that gives you all of these rules, regulations, and tells you what you are incapable of, and that what you cannot have and what you cannot experience. But here I am telling you that there are no limits, and that there is no bondage, that there is no box, and that there is no cage, and that you're not in bondage, and that you can have whatever experience that you desire to have. And now you're afraid of me? Consider, why are you afraid to live? Why are you afraid to experience life? Why are you afraid? Is it really your fear, or is it the fear that came from your culture, your society, your environment? Did it come from your mom, your dad, your traumatic experiences? Did it come from your religious affiliation? Did it come from an abnormal experience, a nefarious experience that now you have interpreted it from one way and taken from it a message that keeps repeating in your head and saying to you, danger, Will Smith, danger. Y'all may not remember that. Will Robinson, Will Smith, that's the actor. Danger, Will Robinson. Some of y'all might remember that show from back in the day, if you're around my age. And so it's just repeating in your head. And so now you keep assenting to it, and you keep submitting to it, and you keep saying yes to the fear, yes to the doubt, yes to the worry, yes to the anxiety. Yes. Okay. No, I'm not going to do that. Oh no. Because what if they don't like me? What if they don't understand me? What if they don't hear me? What are people going to think if I do this? What are people going to think if I have this? What are they going to think if I act this way? What are they going to think if I say this? What are they going to think if I think this way? What if I respond like that? What are people going to think? What's my mama going to think? What's my sister going to think? What's my cousin going to think? What's my church going to think? Oh my God, what is the pastor going to think? What's the bishop and the prophet going to think about me if I think this, or I behave this way, or I think this way, or I desire this thing, or I do this thing? What is everybody going to think? No. And so it's not because the desire doesn't exist, it's because you're afraid of what others will think. And you've been given that fear. Can I tell you that fear is not real? It's not real. It may feel real. I know you're feeling the palpitations, the nervousness. I know you're feeling it, but I'm telling you, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's the same fear that you feel when you're watching a horror movie. You get lost in the movie and you start to feel this fake, phony sense of fear until you come to yourself and realize it's just a movie. It's not real. I'm telling you, that's the same thing. It's just a movie. It's not real. It's not. It's crippling you. It's limiting you. It's keeping you locked into a form of living and existing, or no, a form of existing that is not living, and you are going to transition. You are going to die before you have even lived. What's keeping you from taking the trip, starting the business, going on the adventure, meeting this person, having this experience? What's keeping you from doing it? What's keeping you? What's hindering you from making the decision that you know will best serve you? But you have a whole bunch of legalisms and rules coming into your head saying to you, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know what the churches think about that. You know what the preachers are going to say about that. You can't do that. You a preacher. You can't do that. You're a pastor. You're a leader. You can't do that. You can't think like that. You can't have that experience. What are people going to think? You can't make that choice, even though it's the choice that you really desire and that it may serve you best. You can't make that choice because how are other people going to think? Nobody may want to listen to you anymore. They may never want to follow you anymore. So what? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you understanding? Don't allow yourself to be limited by external forces, by old echoes, echion, repeating in your head. Make sure you are guided and led by the desires, the unctions, the yearnings, the longings, the lusts of the Spirit. The Spirit's desire and leading and guiding and directing you. From the core of your being, you are being unctioned and led. Make sure that that's where it's coming from and that it's not that you are being hindered by all of these legalistic thoughts that have been hoisted upon you. And you have been forced to experience a life that you really don't even want. And so then you end up transitioning from this place with a bunch of regrets. Wishing that you had, woulda, shoulda, coulda, wish I had, but never did. What serves you? What's important to you? How would you live if there were no rules? Just today. There is no Bible, no Quran, no Bhagavad Gita, no rule book. There are no societal rules, regulations, norms, etiquettes, and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. All of that's based on culture and location and geographical location, whether what's acceptable in America, what's acceptable in England, what's acceptable in Africa, what's acceptable in this place or that place. Let's just imagine none of that exists and you could simply live in the moment and fully experience what you desire. Fully experience it. Fully experience what you desire. That's what we're talking about. So that you can live before you die. I'm concluding because I'm over time already. I know it. I'm 15 minutes over time. I had a suggestion from one of the partners that maybe I should start just doing teaching for 2 hours. I said, I'm not quite sure how that would go over with people. They barely hang on for the hour. So But I will consider it. I will definitely consider it and think about it. You guys can let me know what you think. If you desire more teaching, more time, let me know, and I will consider doing that. But I want you to walk away from this, take from this lesson tonight. I want you to begin to live. I want you to truly begin to live. I want you to give yourself unlimited permission to feel your feelings, to explore every desire, to explore those feelings, those wants, those unctions, those yearnings, those longings. Feel them. Even if you don't follow through with the actual action, just give yourself permission to feel them. And then, at least then, you can make a logical, cognitive decision about whether or not it serves you. But if you won't even consider it, you'll never really know. So I want you to take every day and just sit with your feelings. As different feelings and desires and urges arise within you, take the time to sit with that feeling and let it wash over you. Give yourself permission to feel what you are feeling. And then from there, decide if this is an experience that I really want to have. And if so, strip off the grave clothes of fear, doubt, worry about judgment or accusation from this one or that one, and say yes to it. Have the experience. Prove all things. Try everything, and then hold on to that which is good. Hold on to the things that serve you best. But at least give yourself permission to have the experience to try it. If you choose to, you get to choose. Only you get to choose for you. I don't get to choose for you. You don't get to choose for me. You don't get to choose for your children. Oh. You don't get to choose for your children. They get to choose what they want to experience in their life. You get to make the choice. At least give yourself permission to think about it, to feel it, to experience the feeling, to have the experience within your mind. Then from there, you can make a clear, logical decision, a choice as to whether or not you want to actually live out the experience. Don't allow religion to bind you. Don't allow culture and society or environment. Don't allow the things that you think of as limitations to ever become an encumbrance to you having the experience. Now, I can hear some of you audibly, your thoughts have become audible to me and saying, yeah, but there's some things that I want to experience, but I don't have, and that's why you don't have it. Because you keep declaring what you don't have. You keep speaking lack over your life. Even when you say, well, I want, and one day I want, and one day I want. And when you say want, you are confirming to the universe that you are in want, that you are in lack, that you are in need of something. Rather than saying, I have, I will, I shall, I am. Speak in the affirmative. And then one of the ways that you trick your conscious mind, your cognition, your thoughts to align itself with abundance is that whatever you want to experience, give it. Give what you want to have. Give what you want to experience. Because when you give what you desire, then you trick your mind into thinking that you have it, because how do you give what you don't have? So you give what you want to experience, what you desire to have. And when you begin to think in terms of having, your mind, then your spirit, your soul begins to produce more of what it is that you have, which is the thing that you desire. So give what you desire. Believe that you receive and you shall have it. That's what that text means. Give what you desire. You want love, give love. You want kindness, give kindness. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? Give what you want to have. And when you give and you act in a manner that is in concert or alignment with the thing that you desire, it is an act of saying, I have it. And your mind begins to accept and assent and embrace the idea that you have it. And then it begins to produce more of it because it's what you desire. I gotta stop, man. If I keep talking, I'll keep going. So let me stop. I want you to have your life experience. I want you to live before you die. Right now, today, make that decision this night, right now. Tonight, what is this? April 18th, 2021 at 8:21. Tonight, I start living. I'm going to embrace all of my desires, my thoughts, my yearnings, my longings. I'm going to at least give myself permission to feel them, and then I will decide from there if I want to create the opportunity for me to be able to experience them. I'm taking the limitations off my soul. All the cultural, environmental, religious experience, religious bondages and boundaries that have been set, I'm taking those limitations off, and I am going to have life, and that more abundantly. All right, I'm checking out the comments over here. Let me make sure that I don't have any other lingering questions before I go. Do I have any questions in the comments? It doesn't seem like I do. Yep, doesn't look like I have any questions that are over there. So I know you were blessed. I know you were empowered. All I ask is that you sow seed to show that you value the teaching that you've received tonight. If you so desire to do so, then those of you who have been following this ministry, and those of you who haven't, you'll also know that there are several ways that you can do so, and they're on their screen right now. If you want to give, you can use our Cashapp, Emerge LEC, or Zelle at IJMouse38, Gmail, or PayPal at AIM Ministries at YML. You can use either one of those means that you so desire, and you can sow into this ministry. When you sow, you help us to be able to grow and expand and build the platform. I envision this platform being able to reach the world and having thousands upon thousands of viewers and followers and supporters who are being introduced to this way of understanding this spirituality and being able to step into their own and being able to live the kind of life that they choose to live in the earth. And so I want you to make sure that you are supportive. Those of you who are partners with this ministry, remember to return the tithe, to give your offering, to be consistent and faithful in your giving as you are so able to do so. Don't put yourself in any kind of a strain or mess yourself up. But as you are able to do so and you are led to do so, then remember to sow and remember to be a blessing to the ministry. This movement, we really appreciate all that you do. All right, with that, I am getting ready to get up out of here. The music's getting ready to start in a minute. There it is. I hear it. And so that means that it's time for us to go. I pray tonight for every one of you that have tuned in. I set my heart and my energy and thoughts and spirit in agreement with you that everything that has held you captive, every thought, every idea, every concept, every rule, every belief that has been handed to you, given to you, imposed upon your spirit to limit your soul from its experience, I pray that you have the courage, the tenacity, the will, and the desire to overturn those things, to divorce them, to free yourselves, to reject them, to pull them off, to tear down the cages and the bars and the limitations that have been placed upon you, and to experience the true liberty and freedom that can only come through Christ. You can do all things. You have the ability and the capacity to do and experience and to be everything that you desire. I pray and I agree that that light, that truth, that knowledge, that wisdom, that insight, that revelation is ignited within your spirit and piercing every corner and crevice of your conscious mind. And you are consciously aware of all your feelings, thoughts, ideas. Your logos is made clear. Your vision becomes clearer than ever before, and that you are living out your life to its fullest and experiencing life abundantly. Amen. Every one of you have a wonderful, outstanding, stupendous night, and tomorrow have the best day ever. Good night, everyone.